What is going on, everyone? And today we are here for episode 2 of the Tech Talks and Tips series. Today we're going to be talking about our practice program and how we go about actually practicing for events coming up and stuff like that. So looking forward to actually getting into this one a bit with you guys. I've sort of been working on a bit of a method and a theory behind practice. And how to actually get the most out of yourself in a short period of time, especially if there is a lot of people that don't have a lot of time to actually prep and practice. And on top of that, there's also sort of, I guess you could say, a sped up way to actually get the most out of yourself quickly as well. So we're going to go into that a little bit today. So hopefully this will help you guys in just making your practice a little bit more efficient, and just hopefully understanding that it doesn't work for everything, but it will improve, especially if it's more like an event that you haven't prepped for or anything like that. It might just get you up to speed a little bit quicker, so then you can actually put more effective time into car setup and all the other stuff that goes along with it. So other than that, I really want to thank everyone for being involved with the community. The fact that we cracked the 500 subscribers on YouTube's awesome, and I'm really grateful for it. I really hope you guys enjoy our content. I'm looking forward to bringing you more and more as we get through it. But other than that, guys, just really thank you. It means a lot. So let's get into week 2 or episode 2 of Tech Talk Tips and Tricks, and we're talking about practice. Alright guys, so now we're going to talk about the method of practice that we use. So obviously there's lots of different ways you can sort of go about this. We've sort of been working on a theory behind it for a little bit now. And we really believe that to get the most out of yourself effectively, you don't want to do any more than sort of 60 minutes at the utmost in one stint, and then even if it's you go and have a break for 10 minutes, it makes all the difference. So, and this little method we use more for learning a new track or familiarising ourselves with a car and track combo that maybe we haven't driven ever or in a very long time. So it's more just like sort of initiating yourself with it, I guess you could say. So the 15-30-10 method. So the first 15 minutes of that practice session, you want to use it to just drive the car around. You don't want to go over aggressive, like you just really want to sort of maybe push it like 60, 65, 70%, and just start to really understand where the car's strengths and weaknesses are. Start to look for markers around the circuit for like braking, turn-in points, all that sort of stuff. It's just going to help you to really familiarise yourself with the track and what the car's doing, right? So we do that for 15 minutes, right? At the end of that 15 minutes, we usually come in, and while we're not pushing, we still go and watch the quickest lap of that little 15-minute stint. So obviously that's going to depend and change on the track. Like if you're going to do Nürburgring combined, say, you're not going to get 15 minutes of familiarising yourself with that track. It's not going to work either. So you have to sort of take it in a sort of logical way about how big the circuit is. So anywhere that I find is under that 2-minute lap time, 15 minutes is more than enough to start to really understand what the car's doing, where you're placing the car, which way the corners go, and all that sort of stuff, right? Once we get to that point, then we start to look at the 30-minute part of it. So the 30-minute part, right, is when people are practicing, you're all practicing for one thing, and that's the race. You're not practicing to qualify. You're not practicing to do anything other than to race, right? So what's the point in practicing by pushing every lap 110% and making mistakes and crashing the car? Like, yes, you get the final limits of the track, but it's not really going to help you to understand what the car actually requires during a race run. So the 30 part of this method is that 30 minutes you get in the car and you circulate for. Now, you don't have to circulate for the full 30 minutes. If you know the race that you're going to run, say it's the official MX5 like we're watching at the moment, and you know that the race is 10 laps, go and do a 10-lap run. Understand how the car starts and finishes the run. It will help you, right? But during that period, drive it at like 90%, 95%, and start to really understand the consistency of the car and actually try and aim to hit every lap. As you can see from this little image here. This was a 7-lap run we did, and you can see that I didn't push the car too early on that first lap. So I was a second slower than my fastest at the start of the run, but as you can see, my consistency was better and better and better as the run went on. I didn't chew the tyres up, and I did my fastest lap on lap 7. You know what I mean? So it's all about how you actually skin the cat to get to the end of the race as well. You can go out balls blazing at the start of a run and try and bench your fastest lap, but it's not going to help you long term. So just weigh that in mind as well when you're going through it, right? So once you've done that 30 minutes, then you stop, you reset, and you go, right, I know what the consistency like, I know where my markers are, and that 30 minutes will help you to just be consistent with those markers as well. So once you've done that, we go into the 10-minute phase. And that is a silly session. That is where you go and you push the car to its utmost extreme. You try and find the limits. You try and find the car. Now, when you're doing this, don't overdrive the car and bin the car. There's no benefit to that. You're not learning anything, right? So you still want to drive within the confines of yourself and the car and the track, but you need to be really pushing the car to its utmost possible performance to really start to understand yourself for qualifying and where the car's good, and then that will also sort of hedge back into your consistency later on, because you'll go, oh, I know I can actually push a little bit harder through here, the car doesn't fall off and it's good. So final 10 minutes is all about that 1 lap speed and actually just being consistently fast in that 1 lap. So once you've done that, guys, then I usually take a break for sort of, I would say 10 to 15 minutes. Go have a drink of water, go have a stretch. To let your brain sort of stop and process the hour session that you've just done. Once you've processed that, then you can really start to look at the next steps and what you're going from there. So obviously different events call for different types of practice. So for a sprint race, you might just go and do some more practice for more race runs, more qualifying runs, that sort of stuff, especially once you familiarise yourself. Like, you still have to do the laps, but I would still not go any longer than an hour, right? Say you're practicing for a big endurance race coming up, and the guys in the team have already said, oh, we're going to be doing doubles or triples, right? So say you've done your first hour, you know that the car's capable of this, you found your markers, you've done a little 30-minute run just to understand what the car's doing. Then you go into practice mode for race runs. So if you know you're in the car for 2 hours, I would be doing a 2-hour stint in the car in practice, because that way you're not going into the race with no crazy expectations of what could or couldn't happen. You know exactly how the car's going to handle. Yes, track conditions change. Yes, other cars around you change the situations, but you still have an understanding of how the car will perform. If you can do that, it's going to make your life a lot easier. So that's the first little part of it. The other part is obviously setup wise, so making sure that your car's dialed in for how you want it. You can't really start to set a car up for how you drive unless you've done enough laps to understand what the car's actually doing as well. So including that in the situation as well makes a big difference. I wouldn't start to look at the car setup until at least an hour on the track, just to understand how I'm performing, how the car's performing, and then I would start to go, okay, I need to look at, maybe it needs a bit of a brake bias change, or maybe it needs a bit of a wing change, or depending on the car, obviously. So maybe it's too stiff in the front or too soft in the rear. So then you can really start to go, oh, the car's understeering or oversteering into corner or exit. So then you can start to really piece it together to make it really easy for yourself. Then on top of that is obviously, with this method, it will help you if you're a bit time poor with practice as well, because you're not just going out there circulating for the sake of circulating. Like, you're actually going out there with a bit of a sort of, I guess you could say, understanding of how to piece together a quick session. Like, say you've only got 2 hours of practice a week and you want to get as many official races as you can done as well. This method will just help you to pick the speed up a bit quicker, because you're breaking it into segments, and then you'll be able to actually go and get into them races sooner. So hopefully this helps you guys. It's been a pleasure doing this with you guys every week, and we look forward to bringing you more. Thank you to all the comments and the messages. We have some great tip videos coming up in the coming weeks. and looking forward to bringing those. So hopefully this clears up just how we go about our practice program a little bit. And I'm looking forward to talking to you more. Let us know what you think in the comments and if this method works for you. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.